Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Today we're going to take a look at the tier system. One question comes back once in a while is what is tier 6? What is tier 8? What is it when you mention tier? Let's go through that. Once you reach level 30 with your character, you will gain access to what is known as tier 1 missions. Let's go to our on duty tab. So let's look at the one player missions. So you have obviously the vault. When you see you have a bunch of missions that are identified as tier 1, then you have missions tier 2, tier 3, and it goes like that all the way up to tier 8. So far, tier 8 is the top tier we have in this Universe Online. And if you look, it's the same with the 2-player missions, the same with 4-player missions, and the same with 8-player missions. And as you can see, the more you go further into the game, the more you will have tier 8. The more you will have 8-player missions as opposed to 1 or 2-player missions. Although for 1-player missions, a lot of those missions aren't in the on duty tab. Like right now, they've added 2 new areas, which is the Time Torn War. War something. I draw a blank right now. And there's the Time Torn Area 51 maps that have been added to the game that have a whole bunch of 1-player missions. So a lot of the 1-player missions that are technically tier 8 will not be featured in the on-duty menu. And Arena Legends have nothing to do with tiers. These are PvP missions. So as far as tier is concerned, those don't really matter right now. Let's go to the Watchtower. No, I didn't pay my mainframe. So in the Watchtower, it's a little similar. I made a few videos showing all the tier vendors. Like I have videos with the hero vendors from tier 1 to tier 7, and I have a similar video with the villain vendors. So once you reach level 30, you gain access to what is known as the tier 1 vendor. I'm not going to look at all of them. Essentially, the vendors are Steel, Flash, and the Meta Wing, and Raven and the Magic Wing. And in the Tech Wing, we have our friend Steel here. So Steel is the tier 1 vendor. So once you reach level 30, you gain access to tier 1 vendors. So which means you can start buying stuff from them. So again, let's look at our on duty tab. And once you reach, oh, wrong one. There we go. And once you reach combat rating 43, then you gain access to the tier 2. So not only do you gain access to the tier 2 missions, but you will also gain access to the tier 2 vendor. So if we go see our friend Batgirl over here. So in the Tech Wing, the tier 2 vendor is Batgirl. In the Meta Wing, the tier 2 vendor is Power Girl. And in the Magic Wing, the tier 2 vendor is Donna Troy, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I used those vendors, so I could be misremembering sometimes. So once you reach combat rating 43, you gain access to the Batgirl vendor. Because once you reach combat rating 43, technically your character becomes a tier 2 character. You will still be able to play tier 1 missions, but at some point as you go higher in tier, lower level missions will not give you marks of victory anymore. So once you reach combat rating 43, you become a tier 2 player, or tier 2 your character becomes a tier 2 character. And once you reach combat rating 53, then your character becomes a tier 3 character. Which also will mean that you will gain access to tier 3 vendors. Let's go see the tier 3 vendors. Actually, before we do that, once you reach tier 3, you will gain access with what a lot of us have been calling tier 2.5. You will gain access to Central City, and in Central City there is a vendor that you can get access to once you reach combat rating 53. And also, you will gain access to the tier 3 vendors, which in the Watchtower are in the meta. Well, which are in the meta wing. Whether you're in the Watchtower or the Hall of Doom, it's still the meta wing. So once you reach tier 3, you will gain access to 3 vendors over here. You will gain access to that vendor, which will sell you some healer gear if you want to. You will gain access to that vendor, which will sell you some controller gear if you're a controller, or that vendor, which will sell you some tank gear. And all these are tier 3 vendors. And also, there's a DPS gear that you can purchase from all 3 vendors. And once you reach combat rating, once you reach tier 4, oh, there's no solo tier 4. And once you reach tier 4, your character will become combat rating 70. So let's go see the tier 4 vendors. So here you will have 4 vendors that will sell you the tier 4 gear, whether a DPS or controller or healer, it's all the same. There's 4 vendors, but all those 4 vendors sell the very same gear. The only distinction will be the look of the character, the look of the gear. And how do you raise the combat rating of your character in order to be able to go from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? You have to just improve the equipment you're wearing. You'll see that all the equipment that your character has some item level. Like right now, the item level of, let's say, my back piece is 145, the chest piece is 138. So as you gain item that are a higher level, it will raise the combat rating of your character. And as the combat rating of your character raises, you will go up in tiers. So again, here we have the tier 5 vendors, the tier 4 vendors, sorry. And once we reach once we reach 84, it's a little more complicated than that. Once you reach, I think it's level combat rating 80, then you can start doing the 1-player missions, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go see. Yeah, once you reach combat rating 80, technically you gain access to the solo missions that are tier 5. And then once you reach combat rating 84, then you gain access to pretty much you gain access to tier 5. Although as you can see, some missions will require a bit higher combat rating. The reason for that is that at some point it would require many DLCs. Like tier 5 does contain multiple DLCs. It does contain Origin Crisis, it does contain Sons of Trigon, and it does contain the first War of the Light. So, and from DLC to DLC, the combat rating would go up a bit. The requirements would go up a bit from DLC to DLC. So within the tier 5, there are different the combat ratings that you might need. The same is true with tier 6. Like originally tier 6 was combat rating 100, but then as more missions got added, the combat rating was 105, 107. But technically, as soon as you reach combat rating 100, you should have access to tier 6. Actually, I think the solo missions require combat rating 99, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so as soon as you reach combat rating 99, you gain access to the first 2 solo missions. And as you can see, the Spark of Parallax mission, which was part of War of Light Part 1, that one requires combat rating 105. But once you reach combat rating 99, technically you can start doing at least the solo missions. And once you start, once you reach combat rating 100, then you're officially tier 6. Let's go back to tier 5 a bit. So once you reach tier 5, the vendor, if you're a hero, the vendor you want to go see is the Aquaman vendor. Or there's also a vendor in Mogo. I'll show you in a bit. So let's see. So the Aquaman gear here was the for the first tier 5 gear that was added into the game. So once you reach tier 5, you can start purchasing the Aquaman gear. But also, you should be able to start purchasing the Mogo gear. Let's go see our friend Mogo. And there's also a tier 5 set of gear in the Gotham Wasteland. So here there's the Mogo Command Center, and there you'll find a vendor that will sell you some tier 5 gear. It was the first Green Lantern set of gear that we got in the game. Or I should say the first Lantern set of gear we got. But also in the Gotham Wasteland, there is also another vendor which will sell you some Raven-inspired gear if you go to the Gotham Wasteland. So these are pretty much the tier 5 vendors. And once you reach tier 6, there are quite a few tier 6 vendors. There's a tier 6 vendor in Mogo also. But there is some... just a second. Like there is a tier 6 vendor right here. Our little friend, insectoid friend here. And there's also a tier 6 vendor in the New Genesis map. Or there might be another vendor or two that I failed to mention. So you'll reach tier 6 once you reach combat rating 100. And you'll reach tier 7 once you reach combat rating 111. Oh, actually, I think these are tier 7. I'm not sure. It's been a while, so... And tier 8, you reach tier 8 once you reach combat rating 154. There's not, we don't have a tier 9 yet. I'm not sure if we should have some more missions that will get added sometimes in September. I'm not sure if those will be event missions, if those will be tier 8 still, or if those will be the first tier 9 missions we'll get. But anyway, basically this is pretty much what the tier are. So you start as soon as you reach level 30, so you start going into tiers. And you start tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. As you go up in tiers, your character will be more powerful and you will gain access to more and more vendors. So I hope this made sense to you guys. If not, feel free to ask questions in the comment section down below. So whenever I mention tier 1 gear, you'll know a bit more what I mean by that. And the same with if I mention some tier 1 missions or tier 5 missions, that hopefully that will help you guys understand that a bit more. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. So as always, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.